The list of foods recommended by FEMA and the Mormon Church for family food storage may surprise many people. At a time when the U.S. cattle herd is at its lowest level in more than 70 years, food prices have risen sharply in recent years, and supply chains have become increasingly vulnerable to disruptions caused by natural disasters or other crises. These two very different organizations have arrived at almost the same conclusion. What is interesting is that none of the foods on this list are unusual. They are not superfoods. They are not expensive survival foods. They are simply everyday items that millions of Americans see every week. But the deeper you move down the list, especially from number 7 upward, the more surprising the real reasons behind these choices become. And the food in the number 1 spot does more than help you store food. It can completely change the way you think about preparedness and a family's ability to be self-reliant. 12. Crackers. FEMA does not include crackers on its emergency food list simply because they are inexpensive. They include them because in many emergency situations, the first problem is not a lack of food, it is the loss of the ability to cook food. Imagine a winter evening. The power is out. The microwave does not work. The electric stove is silent. Heavy rain is falling outside, the roads are slick, and the store nearby may still be open. But you do not want to drive out just to buy dinner. In that moment, a box of crackers sitting in the pantry is no longer just a snack. It becomes part of an emergency meal. That is why crackers are one of the most overlooked items in any food storage plan. They are not as impressive as canned meat. They are not as filling as rice. They are not as protein-rich as beans. But they have one major advantage. They are ready to eat the moment you open the package. No cooking, no water, no electricity, no gas, no preparation required. A typical box of saltine crackers can provide more than 1,000 calories, depending on the brand and package size. More importantly, it can turn other pantry staples into a meal that is easier to eat. Peanut butter by itself can feel heavy. A can of tuna on its own may not appeal to everyone. But spread either one on a few crackers, and suddenly you have a simple meal with carbohydrates, fat, and protein, without ever turning on the stove. For older adults, this becomes even more important. During a power outage, not everyone wants to deal with a gas stove, boiling water, heavy cookware, or a flashlight in the dark. A food that is ready to eat, lightweight, easy to access, and easy to portion can reduce a great deal of stress. In an emergency, the best food is not always the one that looks most nutritious on paper. Sometimes it is the food you can actually eat right away. Of course, crackers have their drawbacks. They can become stale, crumble easily, or develop an off flavor if stored in a hot, humid environment for too long. That is why they should not be kept in a hot garage or near a sunny window. Store them in a cool, dry place. Keep them sealed after opening, and rotate them regularly. Buy the kinds your family actually eats. Use the older boxes first, and replace them with new ones as needed. The lesson here is simple. A good food storage plan does not just need foods that can last for 30 years. It also needs foods that can be used in 30 seconds. And crackers are exactly that kind of food. Do you currently have crackers in your home? If the power went out tonight, would you eat them with peanut butter, canned fish, or something else? 11. Dried fruit. Fresh fruit is excellent, but in a food storage plan, it has one major weakness. It spoils too quickly. Bananas can turn brown within a few days. Strawberries become soft in the refrigerator. Apples and oranges last longer, but they still cannot compete with foods that can sit in a pantry for months. That is why dried fruit deserves a place in a food storage supply. When most of the water is removed, Fruit becomes lighter, more compact, and much easier to store. A small bag of raisins, dried apricots, or dried cranberries can provide quick energy, natural sweetness, and some of the vitamins that foods like rice, beans, or pasta do not provide. The greatest advantage of dried fruit is portability. It can be kept in a pantry, an emergency kit, a vehicle, or an evacuation backpack. No washing, no peeling, no refrigeration, no cooking. When you are tired, hungry, or unable to prepare a full meal, a small handful of dried fruit can provide an immediate source of energy. It is also extremely versatile. Raisins can be mixed into a morning bowl of oatmeal. Dried apricots can be paired with nuts to create a high-energy snack. Dried cranberries can be added to cereal, salads, or trail mix. For older adults, dried fruit can be a simple way to include fruit in the diet when grocery trips become less frequent, or when fresh fruit becomes too expensive. But there is one major trap that needs to be addressed directly. Many dried fruits sold in supermarkets contain large amounts of added sugar. This is especially common with dried cranberries, dried mangoes, and dried pineapple. They may look like healthy foods, but if the added sugar content is high, they can be much closer to candy than many people realize. For middle-aged adults or anyone trying to manage blood sugar levels, this is an important detail that should not be ignored. That is why it is important to read labels carefully. Look for products labeled "no added sugar" or "unsweetened." With raisins and dried apricots, the shorter the ingredient list, the better. If the ingredients include fruit, sugar, corn syrup, oils, and artificial colors, it may be worth taking a second look. Dried fruit typically has a shelf life of 6 months to more than a year when kept in its original packaging and stored properly. Once opened, it should be transferred to an airtight container or a quality zip-top bag and stored in a cool, dry place away from direct light. Moisture is its biggest enemy because it can quickly reduce quality and shorten storage life. Dried fruit is not a complete replacement for fresh fruit. But during a power outage, a winter storm, an evacuation, or a period of rapidly rising food prices, it can serve as a compact, convenient, and dependable backup source of vitamins. Does your family usually buy raisins, dried apricots, or dried cranberries? And when was the last time you checked a package for a no added sugar label? 10. Powdered milk. Many people are surprised to learn that a large container of powdered milk can produce enough milk to supply a small family for weeks. But its real value is not in the number of glasses it can make. It is in the nutrients that many food storage plans often overlook. Calcium, vitamin D, milk protein. These nutrients all play important roles in maintaining healthy bones, teeth, and muscles, especially after the age of 50. There is a reality worth thinking about. Many people prepare enough food to avoid being hungry, but they do not prepare enough food to maintain a balanced diet. That is exactly the gap powdered milk helps fill. Beyond its nutritional value, powdered milk offers another advantage: stability. During an extended power outage, fresh milk is often one of the first foods that must be thrown away. Powdered milk is different. No refrigeration required, no electricity required, no need to replace it every week. That is why it has been part of the Mormon Church's food storage system for decades, and why it is frequently recommended by long-term food storage experts. When shopping, many people prefer instant dry milk because it mixes more easily, while non-fat dry milk often provides a longer storage life when properly stored. If rice provides energy and beans provide protein, then powdered milk is one of the foods that helps transform a food supply from merely enough to eat into something that is nutritionally balanced. Does your family currently keep powdered milk at home? And if the power went out for a week, Do you have another backup source of calcium? 9. Canned fruit. Most people do not realize the value of canned fruit until the day the refrigerator stops working. Until then, it usually sits quietly on the shelf. It is not as appealing as fresh fruit. It is not marketed as a health food. And it is rarely one of the first items that ends up in a family's shopping cart. But all it takes is a power outage that lasts a few days, and everything begins to change. Bananas turn brown. Strawberries become soft. Grapes lose their freshness. The vegetables in the refrigerator drawer suddenly need to be used first. Meanwhile, cans of peaches, pears, or pineapple remain exactly where they were on the pantry shelf. That is the advantage canned fruit provides. Not because it tastes better than fresh fruit, but because it is still there when many other options are gone. This is also one of the reasons food storage experts do not focus only on calories. They think about balance. Rice provides energy. Beans provide protein. But after a few weeks, many people begin to miss something else. Fruit. A can of peaches or pineapple can bring a completely different flavor to meals that are otherwise built around dry pantry staples. That is not just a nutritional issue. It is also a psychological one. A familiar food can make simple meals feel much more enjoyable. From a nutritional standpoint, many canned fruits still provide meaningful amounts of vitamins, such as vitamin A or vitamin C, depending on the product. Peaches, pineapple, pears, and applesauce have long been popular choices in American households. But there is one important detail to know when standing in front of the shelf. Look at the liquid inside the can. If the label says packed in juice or 100% juice, that is usually a better choice than products packed in heavy syrup. That single decision can significantly reduce the amount of added sugar you consume. A can of fruit typically costs only a few dollars and can be divided into multiple servings. When stored in a cool, dry place and kept properly sealed, many products can maintain their quality for years. What is interesting is that canned fruit is not really competing with fresh fruit. It is competing with the day when fresh fruit is no longer available. And that is exactly why it deserves a place on this list. If the power went out for a week, would you rather have peaches, pears, pineapple, or applesauce in your pantry? 8. Canned vegetables. Many people spend hundreds of dollars stocking up on rice, beans, pasta, and canned meat, yet forget one of the most important food groups of all: vegetables. That is why canned vegetables appear on FEMA's emergency food lists and have long been a familiar part of the Mormon Church's long-term food storage system. Not because they provide a large number of calories, but because they help make the rest of the food supply more complete. A can of green beans, corn, peas, or carrots typically costs only $1 to $2 in many American supermarkets. For that price, you gain fiber, vitamins, and minerals that foods like rice, pasta, or peanut butter do not provide in significant amounts. For adults over 50, this becomes especially important. Many Americans do not consume the recommended amount of fiber each day. When meals are built primarily around dry foods, vegetables become the missing piece that helps create a more balanced diet. But the greatest value of canned vegetables is not found on the nutrition label. It is found in their practicality. A can of corn can be eaten as is. A can of peas can be mixed into rice. A can of green beans can be paired with tuna or canned chicken. A can of carrots can turn a simple meal into something with more color and a more enjoyable flavor. That is something many people only realize after they have already stocked up on too many starches. When buying canned vegetables, look for products labeled low sodium or no salt added whenever possible. Draining and rinsing the contents before use can also significantly reduce the sodium content. Another advantage is shelf life. Many canned vegetables can maintain their quality for 2 to 5 years, or even longer when kept sealed and stored in a cool, dry place. Avoid storing cans in a hot garage or in areas with high humidity, as those conditions can shorten the product's lifespan. One simple strategy used by many experienced food storage households is to keep several different kinds of vegetables rather than relying on just one variety. This helps create more variety in meals and reduces the sense of monotony that can come from eating stored food over an extended period. Canned vegetables will never be the stars of a food storage supply, but very often they are the items people wish they had purchased more of. Which canned vegetable do you currently have the most of in your home? Green beans, corn, peas, or carrots? 7. Peanut butter. If you had to choose a single food that delivers the most value per dollar spent, many food storage experts would choose peanut butter. Not because it is perfect, but because very few other foods can compete with its efficiency. A large jar of peanut butter typically contains close to 3,000 calories. To get an equivalent amount of energy from many other foods, you would usually need to spend more money or buy more products. That is why peanut butter has long been one of the most familiar staples in American kitchens. But what makes it especially noteworthy is that its value goes beyond calories alone. It also provides both protein and fat in the same product. In other words, every dollar you spend is buying more than just energy. You are buying a food that can help you stay full longer, reduce the need for frequent snacking, and make simple meals more satisfying. That is what sets peanut butter apart. It is not an expensive food. It is not a premium product. Yet it remains one of the best values in the supermarket when measured by nutrition and cost. Another advantage is versatility. A spoonful of peanut butter can be paired with crackers. It can be eaten with apples. It can be mixed into oatmeal, or simply spread on bread. In just a few seconds, you have a high-energy snack. That is also why FEMA often includes peanut butter on emergency food lists. Not because it is the perfect food, but because it solves so many problems at once at a relatively low cost. When shopping, look for products with the shortest ingredient list possible. Ideally, the ingredients should be peanuts and a small amount of salt. The less added sugar and added oil, the closer the product remains to its natural nutritional value. If there is one food that represents the idea of value per dollar, it is difficult to overlook peanut butter. That is why it continues to have a place in millions of American kitchens year after year. Does your family prefer creamy peanut butter or crunchy peanut butter? Let us know in the comments below. 6. Canned meat. There is a change that happens quietly as people grow older. It is the gradual loss of muscle mass. Many people do not notice it at first. Then one day, carrying heavy groceries feels more difficult. Climbing stairs becomes more tiring, or the body takes longer to recover from everyday activities. That is why high-quality protein becomes increasingly important with age. And that is where canned meat provides its own unique value. If peanut butter is the champion of cost efficiency, then canned meat is one of the most dependable backup sources of protein you can keep in the pantry. Tuna, salmon, canned chicken, corned beef, each offers a shared benefit, complete protein. That means they provide all of the essential amino acids the body needs to maintain and repair muscle tissue. For adults over 50, this is especially important. As the years pass, the body no longer uses protein as efficiently as it did in younger years. That makes access to high-quality protein more important than ever. But protein is not the only benefit. Many canned meats and fish are also valuable sources of vitamin B12. This nutrient supports the nervous system, red blood cell production, and cognitive function. That is why many nutrition experts consider meat and fish an important part of a balanced diet for older adults. Another advantage is practicality. A can of tuna can become lunch. A can of salmon can be paired with rice or pasta. A can of chicken can become the foundation of several different meals in just a few minutes. That makes adding protein to the diet much easier than many people realize. If canned fruit helps maintain a source of vitamins, and canned vegetables help provide fiber, then canned meat is one of the simplest ways to maintain a supply of high-quality protein over the long term. And that is why it continues to hold an important place in practical food storage plans. Which canned protein does your family buy most often? Tuna, salmon, or canned chicken? Let us know in the comments below. 5. Pasta. A 1-pound box of dry pasta can typically provide about 8 servings. In many American supermarkets, it usually costs only $1 to $2. That is one of the reasons pasta continues to appear in millions of American kitchens year after year. Not because it is the most nutritious food, not because it is the most expensive food, but because very few foods can create as many family meals at such a low cost. When household budgets begin to tighten, families often face a familiar challenge. How do you prepare a dinner that everyone is willing to eat? That is where pasta proves its value. Children usually enjoy it. Older adults find it easy to eat. And almost everyone has a favorite pasta dish of their own. That is what makes it different from many other stored foods. It is not just food that sits on a shelf. It is food that actually appears on the dinner table. You can pair pasta with tomato sauce, with canned tuna, with canned chicken, with canned vegetables, or simply with a little olive oil and seasoning. Each combination creates a completely different meal. That helps reduce the sense of monotony that can come from relying on stored foods for an extended period. Another advantage is shelf life. Many types of dry pasta can maintain their quality for 2 to 3 years or longer when the package remains unopened and is stored in a dry environment. That is a storage life that many breads and fresh foods simply cannot match. What is interesting is that the Mormon Church does not encourage food storage solely to get through emergencies. It encourages storing foods that families actually use, and pasta fits that goal almost perfectly. Because in the end, the greatest value of a food is not how long it can sit on a shelf. It is how many real meals it can become for the people you care about. For just a few dollars, a box of pasta can create more meals than most takeout orders in America today. And that is why it deserves a place on this list. Does your family prefer spaghetti, penne, or macaroni? Let us know in the comments below. 4. Oats. If there is one food that deserves to be called an inflation-resistant breakfast, it is probably oats. A large container of oats can typically provide about 25 to 30 breakfasts. In many stores across the United States, the cost per serving is often just a few cents. That is a price very few other breakfast options can match. But what makes oats special is not the price. It is what happens after you eat them. One of the most common problems with many modern breakfasts is that hunger returns too quickly. People eat at 7 a.m. By 10 a.m., they are already looking for a snack. By lunchtime, they feel low on energy again. And every extra food purchase during the day means spending more money. Oats help break that cycle. They contain beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that has been widely studied for its role in supporting fullness and heart health. That is why oats frequently appear in both budget-friendly and health-conscious meal plans. Instead of spending money on multiple small meals throughout the day, many people choose to start the morning with a simple bowl of oatmeal. As a result, they often feel satisfied longer and become less dependent on mid-morning snacks. That is not only good for health, it is also good for the budget. Another advantage is flexibility. You can add raisins, dried apricots, dried cranberries, a spoonful of peanut butter, or a little powdered milk. With just a few simple ingredients, you can create a breakfast that is both affordable and nutritionally valuable. For adults over 50, it is an especially worthwhile option to consider. A steady breakfast often helps support more consistent eating habits throughout the day. If pasta helps feed an entire family at a reasonable cost, then oats help start the day at the lowest possible cost. A large container of oats can provide nearly a month of breakfasts for one person at a cost far lower than most popular breakfast choices today. That is why oats are more than just a food storage item. They are also one of the most effective inflation-fighting tools in the kitchen. Do you usually eat hot oatmeal, overnight oats, or oatmeal with dried fruit? Let us know in the comments below. 3. Dry beans and lentils. If someone told you there was something in a supermarket that could hold its value for decades, most people would think of gold, silver, or some type of investment. Very few would think of a bag of beans. But that is exactly what makes dry beans so remarkable. For many years, a pound of dry beans has often cost only about $1 to $2. It is not the kind of product that attracts attention. It does not come in flashy packaging. It is not featured in major advertising campaigns, and it is often overlooked in favor of more convenient foods. But time tends to be on the side of beans. A takeout meal disappears in minutes. Many refrigerated foods last only a few days. Even many packaged foods have relatively limited shelf lives. Beans are different. When properly stored in a dry, airtight environment, beans can last an extraordinarily long time. Food storage research conducted at Brigham Young University has tested beans that were stored for decades and found that they could still be used after being cooked properly. That is something rarely seen in the world of food. And it is one of the reasons beans appear in nearly every serious food storage system. What is interesting is that the value of beans does not come from a single factor. It comes from a combination of benefits: protein, fiber, the ability to help people feel full, low cost, and remarkable longevity. A cup of cooked beans can provide a meaningful amount of protein along with the fiber that many Americans still do not consume enough of each day. Lentils offer an additional advantage. They typically cook much faster than many traditional beans and often do not require overnight soaking. That is why more and more families are adding lentils to their food storage supplies. Which do you use most often in your household? Black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, or lentils? Let us know in the comments below. 2. White rice. Imagine walking into a kitchen in Texas, then an apartment in New York, a family home in Japan, a house in Vietnam, or a small community somewhere in South America. There is a very good chance that somewhere in each of those kitchens, you will find rice. That is what makes rice different. While many foods change with time, trends, or geography, rice continues to appear in the daily meals of billions of people around the world. Not because it is the most exciting food, but because it is one of the most reliable foundations ever created. A large bag of rice is more than just a food. It is the starting point for countless meals. Add beans. You have a nutritious meal. Add canned fish. You have protein. Add canned vegetables. You have fiber and essential nutrients. Rice does not try to be the star of the meal. It helps everything else work better. That is why it appears on nearly every food storage list in the world. Another advantage is its remarkable affordability. A 20-pound bag of rice can often provide hundreds of servings, with a cost per serving that is only a fraction of what many other foods cost. It is one of the most economical sources of calories money can buy. But what food storage experts truly appreciate about rice is its storage potential. In long-term food storage research conducted at Brigham Young University, properly stored white rice remained usable after more than 30 years. Think about that. Many cars have disappeared. Many companies have gone out of business. Many technologies have become obsolete. Yet that bag of rice is still sitting on the shelf, still ready to become a meal. That is a level of stability that very few foods can match. How many foods in your kitchen right now could be paired with rice? Let me know in the comments below. 1. Whole wheat berries. If you walk into a modern supermarket, you will see hundreds of different kinds of bread, crackers, breakfast cereals, and processed foods. But the closer you look, the more you begin to notice something interesting. Most of those foods start in the same place: wheat. But whole wheat berries are more than just a food. They are an ingredient that creates food, and that is a very important difference. A single bag of whole wheat berries can be turned into dozens of different foods: bread, hot cereal, porridge, pancakes, tortillas, crackers, or simply flour that can be used to prepare the foods your family actually enjoys. That is why many food storage experts do not view wheat as just another grain. They view it as a miniature food system. One of the reasons the Mormon Church encourages the storage of whole wheat berries is their remarkable shelf life. In long-term food storage research conducted at Brigham Young University, properly stored wheat remained usable after more than 30 years. Think about that for a moment. During that period, many companies disappeared. Many technologies became obsolete. Many products on supermarket shelves changed completely. Yet those wheat berries still retained their value. They could still be ground into flour. They could still become meals. They could still help feed a family. What is even more noteworthy is that wheat does not require you to depend entirely on prepackaged foods. If food supplies are ever disrupted, the first things to disappear from store shelves are usually not ingredients. They are finished foods. But people who have ingredients can continue creating food. And that is the greatest value of whole wheat berries. Not the calories, not the protein, not the price, but the ability to provide self-reliance. After all the foods we have discussed today, perhaps the most important takeaway is that FEMA and the Mormon Church do not encourage food storage because of fear. They encourage it because disruptions are a normal part of life. Prices change, supply chains change, natural disasters happen. But families who prepare in advance usually have more options when those changes occur. And perhaps no food on this list represents that philosophy better than whole wheat berries. Because in the end, the goal is not to own the largest amount of food. It is to maintain the ability to create meals for your family, no matter what is happening outside the front door. After all the foods we have discussed today, perhaps the most thought-provoking takeaway is that FEMA and the Mormon Church do not encourage food storage out of fear. They do it because disruptions are a normal part of life. Food prices rise, supply chains are disrupted, natural disasters occur, and one very simple reality remains true. The food you buy today is often cheaper than that same food will be in the future. What is interesting is that all 12 foods on this list are completely ordinary. There are no expensive superfoods and no specialized survival products. They are simply everyday foods that many families have relied on for generations. Perhaps it is precisely because they are so familiar that they are often overlooked. If you add just one item each week, little by little, you may be surprised by how much food you have accumulated 6 months from now, without putting significant pressure on your family budget.